This gentleman right here.
Thank you, sir. My name is Michael Shore. I'm here in Charlotte. First, it's an honor to have you here with us today. I'm concerned that your decision to allow offshore drilling could have the effect of chilling investment into alternate sources of energy. And I'm interested in what incentives you're going to be proposing to establish the conditions and to stimulate research and development and expansion of that critical sector.
Well, I think it's a great question. We invested in wind, we invested in solar, we invested in biomass, we invested in research and development, we invested in battery technologies. Here's the challenge that we have. We don't yet have the technological breakthroughs that can completely replace fossil fuels. So for the next 10 years, next 20 years, we're still going to be using oil, we're still going to be using coal, we're still going to be using natural gas, we're still going to be using the traditional sources to fuel our cars, to heat our homes, to run our big power plants, etc. Unless somebody here invents something tomorrow, which would be very helpful, and if you have it, let me know.
This is me letting you know. I'm here speaking because I'm at the forefront right now of the most advanced mathematics ever known to mankind. And because my teacher, Marko Rodin, discovered an unknown mathematical language inherent to nature, and I found the key of how to model it in three-dimensional space. The saying is that mathematics is the language of God, but until now, no one's been speaking God's language. What we have is the grand unified field theory. With it, you can create inexhaustible free energy, end all diseases, produce unlimited food, travel anywhere in the universe, build the ultimate supercomputer, artificial intelligence, and obsolete all existing technology. How is it possible to make such outrageous claims? Because we have the secret that connects all of the world's technologies together, numbers. We discovered that numbers are real, a living language, a jigsaw puzzle that when pieced together no longer creates a rendition or approximation of reality. Numbers are reality, neither flat, nor arbitrary, nor imaginary, nor irrational. They are actually points or locations that fold out into a 3D shape defining space and time literally. Mr. Rodin discovered an equation that was so eloquent in its simplicity that it involved no more than 9 numbers around a circle. And with it, you can do all the functions of all the branches of math instantly. It displays a perfect spin symmetry of numbers forming mirror images just like our two hands, a feat that's baffled countless scientists and mathematicians. When you look at this symbol, you immediately see it's composed of 2 aspects. One is this lazy 8, or the infinity symbol, and the other is the red pyramid at the top. The infinity symbol is the equation for the physical world we live in. It's a circuit or a pathway of motion. 6 numbers that form a hexagon. Thus, such diverse phenomena as light polarizing, beehives, Saturn's North Pole, and snowflakes are all versions of this hexagon. These shapes form pathways for any matter in motion, which is never straight, but always at an angle. Nothing in the physical world ever moves in a straight line, not a bullet shooting, not lightning coming down out of the sky. Everything is a coil, even a photon coming from a distant star, proving relativity exists. Our body is called this mortal coil. Our DNA is a coil, and it's no coincidence that it matches our equation perfectly. It makes us into a vortex machine that sucks things in at the top and shoots them out at the bottom. As it does this, it regulates its own temperature, a really important concept for technologies that are always overheating. It's an imploding, exploding machine, a gyroscope, an antenna built to perfectly transmit and receive waveforms. In fact, Marko's antenna designs are protecting the 4 corners of the United States because they were found to be the most sensitive antennas ever created. Around the same time, he also presented at the largest genetic engineering conference in the world on DNA sequencing, thus proving the ability of this math to cross between the sciences. Jonas Salk, who was the inventor of the polio vaccine, stated that this work was so advanced it would never be understood in Marko's lifetime unless he cloned himself. And so maybe that's what I am. But what's the connection between all these sciences? And the answer is simple. It's doubling. When you follow what these numbers are doing, you get doubling. And why might that be significant? Well, our cells double to create us. We have 1 cell conceptions, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. Musical scales are doubling. The binary code for computers doubling. Nuclear reactions, squares and square roots, all doubling. Doubling is motion at an angle, or what's called angular momentum. It's the whirlwind and treadmill of creation. It spins the atoms in our body, the Earth on its axis, the solar system, galaxy, the whole universe. And so what causes this doubling? What is it that's being transmitted and received? And that's where that red pyramid comes in. This pyramid is representative of what we call flux fields. We have electricity. At the center of electricity is magnetism. At the center of magnetism is a flux. It's a higher dimensional energy known by many names such as dark energy, tachyons, monopoles, gravitons. We call it etheron energy. It's the energy that's keeping us conscious and alive, and it's not a static or stationary energy. It's a pulse, it's a surge, it's the beating heart of all existence. It's the ultimate fundamental particle in the universe, the God particle, and I know how to harness it. This energy is the source of all time, motion, and vibration. It's the only thing that comes from the whole, or the zero, the center of the cyclone. It emanates linearly in all directions, penetrating everything without any resistance. It cannot be shielded. As it penetrates, it leaves a grain. It shows you how things move, how they stick together or come apart. It animates everything. It's the source of the non-decaying spin of the electron. If you combine it with a coil, you get a perfect mathematical vortex consisting of a positive electromagnetic energy radiating out and a negative backdraft counter space, which is the same as gravity. It allows for contraction. Etherons are literally the glue that holds the universe together. Einstein called it an inertia ether. Ultimately, when this is arrayed in true 3D shape, which is what I discovered, it forms a shape commonly known as a torus or a donut. This is nearly 20 years later. What I found was this. Essentially, this thing is a heat sink. It's a temperature regulator, just like your human body. It's a universal geometry designed for maximum efficiency and energy transformation, and an ecological method by which the universe reprocesses matter, using it as a coolant source to bathe itself at the core of a black hole and then dissipate heat away out of a white hole. It's based on compression, decompression, just like we use to control temperatures in technologies like refrigerators. The Big Bang was just one of these reactions giving birth to this expanding universe, which is expanding because we're on the southern half. The northern half is contracting. Okay? Space expands, time contracts, black hole to white hole. The torus is what everything becomes at its maximum acceleration. This experiment you're going to watch while I finish my talk, I want you to keep in mind when you're watching this magnet spinning around, there's no energy going into this coil. It's totally turned off. And I'll continue. Your blood cells are a torus. DNA is a torus. Magnetic fields, galaxies, all toruses. That's why a tornado is more powerful than an atom bomb. It's a one-way, living, systemic electrical machine, a self-sustaining jet. You might say a flying saucer. I found the way to calculate this torus in a perfect 3D, 4D, and higher mathematical hologram that can be scaled up and down to infinity, and which we now call the Abha torus. Or sometimes we refer to it by Marko's name, which is the flux thruster, atom pulsar, electrical venturi, space-time implosion field generator coil. And with it, it's possible to create a localized space-time implosion, a controlled desktop black hole. That magnet's still spinning. There's no energy in the coil. This is the final technology, the philosopher's stone, a reactionless drive unaffected by any weight that it carries. It's a true model of an atom, and with it I have the key to the periodic table, which a professor from the University of North Carolina told me could be the greatest scientific discovery of all time. We can, for the first time, cross from one science to another, unbroken, whether it's subatomic physics, periodic table, computer science, DNA. Remember, I said cure all diseases, artificial intelligence, all the result of etheron flux fields. And so simply put, this torus does it all. It's a blueprint for a perfectly efficient magnetic field generating coil, a spaceship, a surgical tool, a supercomputer, and even a high-fidelity speaker all in one. Are such things possible? Frankly, yes, they are. And my team is ready to develop them at any time. What you see here was just from the most primitive approximation of my work. But the truth and reality of our project is it suffered from a tremendous lack of attention. It has been peer-reviewed by some of the best names in science. But because of our unwillingness to sell it out for private interests, it remains in the hands of exhausted volunteers like myself. Our goal is to create a grassroots energy and technology revolution by turning this information, this knowledge over to the public in an open source project. Science museum exhibits for kids, a simple book, a simple DVD. That's all we're looking to do. And by that, we want to turn it into the hands of the people to produce and save the whole world. Thank you very much.
Okay. I want to tell you a secret of where future technology is going. And this is what mankind will discover next. Right now we have AC generators. They have all sorts of moving parts, and they have commutators, stators, stuff that breaks down, stuff that creates friction. Let me tell you what now we can thank and build big statues to Nikola Tesla, not Einstein, who was a moron who invented nothing. Build big old statues to Nikola Tesla for creating the AC generator, which gives power to the entire world, right? Okay, now let's get to the invention, the discovery that mankind will make, that I already know exists and that does work, and that is a coil drive, or you could call it a ball drive. Well, let's first explain what an AC generator is. Now, first we have to take a magnet. We have to take a coherent field, and then we have to have it amassed into a phenomena that we know as a magnet. And the only thing that defines a magnet is field coherency. And that field coherency with a plane of inertia and the quote-unquote polarity, which is literally the inverse of counter space, which is force and motion. Because Mother Nature doesn't draw a line like this, she draws a line like this, or like this. That magnet, the force and motion divergence that defines polarity, and the Lamour frequency of gyromagnetic precession, and this is actually a known fact because we couldn't make magnetic resonance imaging machines work without the knowledge of a gyromagnetic precession. It's called the Lamour frequency. Okay. What is an AC generator in very simplex? It is literally a magnet turned inside out. They have the plane of inertia along the middle of a magnet, which can never be cut out. As I've told you before, and this is an undeniable fact, of course, you can cut a magnet 1,000,000 times and you'll end up with 1,000,000 smaller magnets, each with its own plane of inertia, or what's called the block wall. It's the dielectric plane of inertia, as I've referred to it in my book, and each with its own quote-unquote North Pole and South Pole. It is incommensurable. It is point non-specific field pressure mediation. What is an AC generator? It is literally a magnet turned inside out. What the hell does that mean? Then we're going to talk about the technology that's going to change the future. And it's going to be a motor system that has absolutely no moving parts. It will have a moving field, but it will have no moving parts to break down. Okay, I'm dead serious about this. Serious as a heart attack. The only thing an AC generator is taking the plane of inertia in the form of a coil and placed it on the external. And we have the moving magnetism, which should be the force and motion at the plane of inertia to the system itself, whether that's driven by power, from wind or hydroelectric creation. We actually have a moving magnet against a plane of inertia. We actually have the plane of inertia exterior to the actual force and motion. Literally, yes, an AC generator is a magnet turned inside out. A magnet natively is force and motion on the outside, i.e. magnetic polarity, and the plane of inertia on the inside. An AC generator is the inverse of that. It's the plane of inertia on the outside in the form of a coil, with the magnetism, the force and motion on the inside, which is turned via, horses, wind, nuclear, steam, it doesn't matter what it is. That's how an AC generator works. It has a lot of moving parts, not that many moving parts. There are a lot of AC generators now have been running nearly 100 years, so they still require maintenance, and they have frictions and bearings, and they have efficiencies. Everything has efficiency. I'm not talking about a freelance here. This is a technology that's going to change the future forever, as far as you're going to talk about once this AC generator is created, it'll have no moving parts, and it's never going to break down. If it could be sealed in cement or some sort of epoxy resin that I've actually thought of, and other than the output of the leads, it will have absolutely no moving parts. There's nothing to break. I mean, anything could be destroyed if you smash it with a hammer, of course. We're not talking about that. But it will literally be a generator to work forever. And it could be scaled up or scaled down to various sizes. And this is the AC power generator that's going to change the world. The way it works is off using gyromagnetic precession along a Rodin coil. I don't know if you know what the hell a Rodin coil looks like. It basically kind of looks like this. Here's an image of a Rodin coil. Either a staged Rodin coil, which will look like a ball, or a Rodin coil itself that's so compact and so thick that the efficiency is high. And so what we would have is basically a type of AC generator system, and I call this a coil drive, that will work exactly the same way a magnet does, except instead of actually moving the magnet internal to the plane of inertia, i.e. the copper windings of an AC generator in our current technology, what we will have is harnessing the geomagnetic precession out of phase to the Rodin coil to create power. This necessitatively would and does create power. There's just no denying it. It's not like, well, this is a fanciful invention, this is like a theoretical AC generator. It's not theoretical at all. It works the exact same way. The only difference is, instead of actually turning a magnet relative to the coil, you're actually phasing, and I don't want to get into specifics, phasing the geomagnetic precession relative to the stationary Rodin coil, and that, with its external leads, is an AC generator with 0 parts. So when you have a generator that has 0 parts, then you're talking about building something, encasing it in silicon, and then, sticking it in a device. Obviously it has to be fed. I'm not talking about a free energy device here. I'm talking about something that creates geomagnetic precession. I don't want to get into the details of that, but geomagnetic precession is known as the Lamore frequency. This is nothing fanciful. This is no new discovery. Every MRI machine made by General Electric in every hospital works off of geomagnetic precession. Okay, you know what precession is, right? It's called the Lamore frequency. What you do is you use the Lamore frequency native to all coherent magnetic fields. Okay? You place the Rodin coil at the center of geomagnetic precession, whereby which geomagnetic precession is and does have a current induced, whereby which we have AC generator systems which can be scaled to, extremely minuscule sizes to incredibly large sizes that will have 0 moving parts, 0 bearings. They will literally can be walled up inside of a brick wall, never to be seen again, because there's nothing for them literally to break down. When you want to talk about the breakdown of copper and it oxidizing, yeah, you would encase the entire thing in some sort of plastic composite, because it would actually generate some heat relative to the geomagnetic precession, but you're not really concerned about like a couple hundred degrees of heat under high current creation in copper. Copper has a relatively, couple 200-300 degrees Fahrenheit. All heat, of course, is the loss of energy, but necessitatively the geomagnetic precession would create that in the Rodin coil. But anyway, that's actually the future of power generation. It is not different than we have, and I'm not talking about free energy here. I'm certainly talking about A, much higher efficiency, and B, AC generation that has 0 moving parts with 0 parts breakdown. So once you create it and you encase it in some sort of weather-resistant barrier, then this is something that will be, a life-saving dream to take on boats, on it's something that doesn't require maintenance. The ramifications of that are absolutely mind-boggling. And once humanity discovers how to create a coil drive instead of a current AC generator, and I know how to create a coil drive. You don't believe me? I don't care. There is a certain happiness that occurs when you know something, and you could have all the entire world tell you you're full of nonsense. When you know something works, and you know something does exist, it doesn't matter what anybody says, because there's a certain satisfaction in knowing and wisdom that all the hate and all the derision in the world will never quench. And so that's where we stand with that. So I wanted to let you in on that, and I've called it a coil drive. And its advantages, as I've stated: no moving parts, incredibly high efficiency, extremely simplex design, with basically perdurable lifespan. You know, if you took a hammer to it or you ran a bulldozer over it, of course you'd destroy it. Obviously so. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something that has no friction, no bearings. There's no brushes to wear down. There's no maintenance. There's no upkeep. You build it, you set it in place, and that's it. And that is amazing. That means that you could actually have this literally exposed to the elements and have squirrels crapping on it, like if you had a little miniature waterfall generator. You could take one of these little coil drives, completely set it out in the elements, and as long as a raccoon didn't drag it away with his teeth, you know, if it had 10 foot of snow on it and water pouring on it, it still wouldn't make any difference as far as it generating power. Of course, you know, you're obviously going to have a short, so you need to actually protect the leads of the current that's created. I'm not talking about that, but that's amazing. So that's the future of power generation, and what humanity calls it, I have no idea. I've actually called it a coil drive, and it is reality's future. So that is the future of power generation. Whether you believe me or not, I certainly don't care, but I can guarantee you this much: that is exactly what it is. And it's really no different than an AC generator, except it uses geomagnetic precession to actually drive the induction of current. The Lamore frequency and geomagnetic precession, these are not inventions off the top of my head. This is how nature works. No MRI machine in any hospital on Earth could work without the Lamore frequency. The only thing humanity hasn't figured out yet is by using the Lamore frequency in a phased relation to a Rodin coil or a ball coil, you can have a zero part, zero friction, zero wear down power generation system. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.